Hello and welcome to math class. Today's video is on percent of change. Our first question asks, what is the percent of change from 8 to 4? We're trying to figure out how much did this number increase or decrease. What percentage did it increase or decrease by? And to do this, the first thing we do is subtract the two values, 8 minus 4. And then we're going to divide that by the first value they give you, which is 8. You will need a calculator for this lesson, so be sure to have one handy. 8 minus 4 is 4 divided by 8. Let's calculate. 4 divided by 8 equals 0.5. Now the question asks, what is the percent of change? So we have to change our decimal number to a percent. We do that by taking our percent, our decimal, and moving it 2 places to the right. Because there's no number here, I'm going to fill that in with a 0. And that becomes 50%. Now we have found a percent. Now what is the change? They say percent of change. How did this change from 8 to 4? Well, from 8 to 4 is a decrease, it's a drop. So my answer would be a 50% decrease. My next question asks, what is the percent of change from 600,000 to 900,000? We're going to do this the same way, by first subtracting the values. Now, when subtracting, we know we put the larger number first. So we're going to put 900,000 minus 600,000. But we always divide that by our original value, which is 600,000. Let's calculate. 900 minus 600,000 equals 300,000 divided by 600,000. Let's calculate to figure that out. $300,000 divided by 600,000 equals 0.5. Remember, the question asks for the percent of change. Well, in order to change our decimal to a percent, we take the decimal, move it 2 places to the right. If there's no number, we fill that in with a 0, and that is going to be 50%. What is the change from 600,000 to 900,000? Is that an increase or a decrease? Well, from 600,000 to 900,000 is an increase. It's an increase. So my answer is a 50% increase. And our last question asks, is using a decimal. What is the percent of change from 12.2 to 42.7? Again, we start off by subtracting the values. When subtracting 2 values, the larger number goes first. 42.7 minus 12.2. We always are going to divide, when finding a percent of change, by the original amount, 12.2. Let's calculate. 42.7 minus 12.2, and we get 30.5 in the numerator over 12.2. Let's calculate to see what we get. 30.5 minus, 30.5 divided by 12.2. We get 2.5. Remember the question say what is the percent of change? So we have to change this decimal number to a percent. We take our decimal point, move 2 places to the right. If there's an opening, we put in a 0, and we see this is a 250% change. But is it an increase or a decrease? Well, 12.2 to 42.7, that number increased. So this is a 250% increase. Well, that's today's lesson with percent of change. Remember, subtract the values, divide by the original amount, change your decimal to a percent, and figure out if it's an increase or a decrease.